Yeah, that's right. I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Hello, Knick family. Happy New Year to you guys, to the Knick family, to you, Geoff. This is the recap and reaction show. The Knicks with a tough loss. JJ in the chat, frustrating loss, 134 to 132. I'm personally not tripping, but this is why we have the shows, right? To hear the the different perspectives. I'm Stephanie, as you know, aka Queen. I'm joined by my host Geoff from Happily Ever Klafter Daily Sports Blog and also the weekly show. Geoff, start it off however you wish.
Well, life has a funny way of repeating itself. So my mom asked me what I wanted for my 40th birthday, and I had never been to see a Knick game live. And so I said, well, can we go see a Knick game? And just so happened that the Knicks were playing the Spurs right around time of my birthday. So we got a place to stay there and she bought tickets and my whole family went to the Knick. My dad, my boys, my wife, we all went to the Knick game to watch the Knicks play the Spurs. And some of you may remember the game. It was the one where the Jose Calderon had an opportunity from the 3-point line in the corner. If he made it, the Knicks would have won the game. And it's kind of funny because, my son, my boys grew up in Texas, so my wife and my son are both Spurs fans. They always have been. And so it's kind of like anytime the Knicks and Spurs play, it's like the family feud, And so you have to celebrate your wins a little more quietly and you take the losses a little bit more, more personal. And so I mentioned that because last night had a real bittersweet taste to it in a very similar fashion. Shortly, I guess it was probably maybe even at tip-off time, we got news that my mom had a aortic aneurysm at a bridge tournament while down in Myrtle Beach, Florida, and she passed away. And I was watching the game down the stretch, and I saw Brunson hit those 2 big threes. And I remember thinking at the time, I was like, man, I could really use this pick-me-up right now. The Knicks are going to come through and they're going to get this win for me and kind of make it all feel okay for a minute. And then, of course, the game slipped away in the fourth quarter without Wemby playing, and it was just, and when we got down by 6, it was just a reminder of that same feeling, like it was just so close and it could have been there, and it just wasn't, and it was just so bittersweet. Just like my first time watching the Knicks live was bittersweet, and so there was that element to it. And then, Queen didn't expect me to come on this morning, but how could I not? This is every bit as much my family as my wife and my kids. And I need to be here among my people and experiencing the frustration, just like she were here and in the moment. So, if you still have your mom, call her and tell her that you love her and hug her. And if you don't have your mom, find someone else who you love and you care about very deeply, and you love them and you hug them, because tomorrow's not promised. And, moments are important and they're precious, and we're 23-10, and let's enjoy this moment. Let's enjoy this ride. Let's enjoy this journey, because yes, we lost this game, but there's so much more positive. There's so much more great that's going to come through this season, and we don't want to miss that greatness because we're caught up in a loss or anything like that. And let's just enjoy this team as a family and enjoy each other. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to get to come in front of you all and be with you. And I want to express how much I appreciate Steph and Jerrell and Ajay in the chat. And I know that you're going to bring me strength in this time that I need as I, go through and sort through these things. I know they're not easy, but with my faith, I believe that my mom is in a better place, and that we're going to miss her. And I'm so grateful for this community. Then that's what this is for, right? We're so much more than just fans. And so I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for Steph for the opportunity to talk about this on air, and Happy New Year to everyone. I'm sorry to bring it with a downer, but now I'd love to hear what Queen has to say about the game itself. And let's get into more of a normal routine.
Yeah, Geoff, you already know when I got that text last night, I didn't even know your mom, but I know you. And it was like a punch. It was like a punch in the gut. Yeah. Yeah. Just my deepest condolences to you and your family, man.
I appreciate
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Yeah, I'm not even sure how to transition from that, but you have my support. You have the support of the Dope Soul, family, and I'm sure of the chat as well. And thank you for showing up this morning. I was preparing. I wasn't expecting it, at all. But yeah, wow. Okay, all right. I'm gonna do my best to transition. Tough loss for the Knicks. I gotta say, me personally, I'm not tripping. There's definitely some things we need to talk about, but I do want to start with the positives. I thought the Knicks really, really competed. That fourth quarter, notwithstanding, without Hart and without Robinson, we were out rebounded by 8 on the glass, out rebounded by 1 on the offensive glass, and they're a pretty good, rebounding team. We were without 2 of our best rebounders, and -8. The Knicks put up 132 points on the 5th ranked defensive team in the league, who give up just 112.5 points per 100 possessions. They give up about 36 3-point attempts. The Knicks shot 52 of them last night for 42.3%. And we're going to get into the defense. I just want to start with some positives. The Knicks had 30 fast break points on a team that's ranked 2nd in opponent fast break points. Like, they only give up 12.3 of them, and the Knicks had 30. I think it was something. I think it was Mike Breen who brought it up, or one of the commentators, that the Knicks must have found something in the scouting report, to get 30 fast break points. And a lot of it was getting the ball, basically throwing it one pass for a layup. They did that numerous times. The Knicks got 9 more shots than San Antonio, and they shot it with good efficiency last night. And we got positive minutes, from the young players. I'm gonna stop right there. I'm gonna let Geoff give his synopsis, because we got to get into some other things, including the Knicks defense last night. Geoff, just what's your overall thoughts on the game?
Missed opportunity, in my opinion. It's odd that we played better with Wemby on the court than when he was off the court, right? Like, he went out in the fourth quarter, and that's when they made their run. And so, kind of disappointing from that aspect. The young kids continue to prove their quality and show their worth. and just really a frustrating loss from the standpoint of missed opportunities, so many silly fouls that really got us into trouble. Just we didn't close the door, and you know what? We've been playing with fire for a couple of games now, right? And we were able. Jalen Brunson was able to kind of take us the rest of the way home and rescue us in the previous couple of times we did. But the Spurs are on another level, and if you open the door, sometimes they bust through it, right? And I think that's what happened to us last night. It was definitely get back for the cup. You know, you could tell that they were locked in and they were focused from Jump Street, and they really, I mean, Wemby even said before the game, like, we want to get this game, like we want to beat these Knicks. And so, we didn't make enough plays down the stretch, and as you said, the offense wasn't really the problem. They scored buckets at will, but they also gave them up. And I don't want to jump the gun and talk about the defensive issues too soon, so I'll save that part of the conversation. But Tyler Kolek was really good again on as far as in limited minutes, really distributing the ball to everyone and getting people in their spots. I thought he continues to rise and shine as a guy who needs rotation minutes. Deuce McBride in the fourth quarter is a different animal. That man just likes to hit clutch shots, in my opinion. I thought he was going to save the game for us for a minute, and then but we just name of the game is getting stops, and we just didn't do that in the fourth quarter. 41 points I think we gave up, and so it happens. You move on. Not going to really kill them. It was the third game of the road trip, and so it. They kind of looked like a team that was tired. I don't want to make excuses for them, but, they didn't play with the same intensity in the fourth quarter that they had, especially in the first. Like, they came out gangbusters, and then it just kind of like tailed off from there. And then, but 19-point leads aren't what they used to be with the 3-point shot, and teams can knock them down. And, Julian Champagnie went 11 for 7 from 3, he had more points in that game than he had in the previous 7 games combined, and he just went off. And that's, so from a perspective, yeah, the guy can shoot, but I'm sure if you're scheming defensively, you're like, well, if Champagnie's going to beat us, you tip your cap, right? Like, so I think from that perspective, but to leave the same guy open over and over and over again is like, what are we doing here at the same time? So, I think the entire rest of the Spurs hit 3 3-pointers on the night. So that's
That
crazy.
is correct. That is correct. In my opinion, Geoff, to piggyback off of what you said, you can kind of chalk this game up to the Knicks defense or lack thereof on Champagnie. And I don't think I'm exaggerating. Like, he scored 11 of their 14 3-pointers. Mike Brown, said in his press conference that he was disappointed in the Knicks defense on him. They gave up some threes, in transition. In all fairness, those are the hardest threes to stop, because you kind of have to recognize who the hot hand is and locate him in transition. And the Knicks didn't, Knicks didn't do that. I wonder, if that was an emphasis on during one of the timeouts. I would think it is. But what was the emphasis? Somebody has to locate him, or designating somebody to locate him in transition and kind of give up all other transition responsibilities, right? That's kind of, that's kind of tough. But the Knicks lost by 2 points. A few of those 3-pointers from Sham defense on him could have made the difference, because he was open. Like, these were not contested threes. Like, this guy's just hot. Like, we got a hand in his face. We're pressing up against him, and he's still hitting shots. No, like, he had space, on those 3-pointers, and the Knicks just did not do a good job in terms of recognizing who the hot hand was and making sure somebody, stayed with him. They gave up 40 points or 41 points in that fourth quarter without Wemby. They gave up a double-digit fourth quarter lead. Yes, they led by 18 on 19 in the game, but in the fourth quarter, it was a double-digit lead. And listen, the Knicks are not going to be a defensive juggernaut team. They're just not. But if they, whatever the schemes are, if they stick to the schemes, if they, Mike Brown may have to optimize some of these defensive lineups at times, maybe give up a little bit of, offense to put in some, some defensive lineups, when we need stops. But the Knicks are in my opinion, can be a good enough defensive team, particularly with their offense. Because I've seen them, first quarter, second quarter, the Knicks looked pretty good, defensively. There's going to be times in the games where they're going to have to step it up. There's going to be times in the game where you're going to need to elevate your defensive play and get stops. Kobe Bryant, may he rest in peace. He was not a 48-minute a game defensive player, but he knew when it was time to get a stop. Like he would say, I need to put me on so-and-so, or the team as a whole. Shaq would talk about it. Like we weren't a good defensive team, but we could turn it up when we needed to get those timely stops. And I think for the Knicks, that's what they need to do. Play good, solid team defense, most, if not all of the game, more than 24 minutes like last night. But you got to be able to turn it up and get those timely stops. And I think it was a mental thing. It was just a mental thing of not understanding Champagnie in the game that he's having. 36 points, all of his field goals were 3-pointers. I think he did go to the line 3 times or something like that. It's just unacceptable without Wemby. And also defensively, they also gave up 23 points off of 11 offensive rebounds. Now, obviously, you're scrambling off of offensive rebounds. You're not in place. But still, they gave up 23 second chance points off of 11 offensive rebounds. And they only got 7 off of 10 offensive, rebounds. So just talk to me, not just about what you saw defensively last night, Geoff. I know you spoke a little bit about it, but what's your expectation and hope for this Knicks team? The Knicks weren't good in transition. Well, actually, they were. They got, let me just do this real quick. 19 fast break points. A little more than usual, but the Knicks, were still plus 11. But talk to me about their defense. We'll get to the chat as well, and what you want to see, best case scenario.
What seemed to me, especially in the fourth quarter, is we were forcing misses, or we were getting misses on the initial action, and then Luke Kornet just kept killing us on the glass. And so they would get 2, 3, 4 cracks at the end, like they almost like they were beating us at our own game and out hustling us. And Towns, I think, only had 7 boards, which is very uncat-like. I thought that he had his, maybe his worst game of the season. And a lot of it was without Wemby in the lineup. So like when Wemby's in there, you kind of understand, but you can't be getting beat by Luke Kornet. And he was out rebounded by Kornet, and those extra possessions mattered, so part of defense is collecting that rebound, right? It doesn't do you any good to play 23 seconds of great defense if you allow them to get the ball and, get it right back and start over again. And so I think especially in the fourth, it just seemed like during those critical junctures, even when the game was tied or we were up by a bucket or down by a bucket, all of those possessions seemed to kind of end with Kornet not only getting the offensive rebound, but then finding someone to score off of that, and they have good plays. Like De'Aaron Fox is still one of the best clutch performers in the league. The guy is gonna and not a great 3-point shooter, but he is gonna kill you down the stretch. He has that reputation from his time back in Sacramento. So I really was disappointed in that in that specific aspect. I would love to be able to talk to someone like Freezy or Lee to see if they saw something schematically that was broken or wrong, or if it was just a case of And I know we left Champagny open a million times throughout the game, and he was hot, and you kind of want to you should recognize that and make a correction for that. But at the same time, like, I would rather Champagny beat me than a lot of other players. And you look at some of their young stars. Dylan Harper didn't have a particularly good game. Steph Castle didn't have a particularly good game. Wemby was killing it all night long. And Harrison Barnes had a couple of nice stretches there where he made some key shots. But for the most part, a lot of their best weapons weren't really overly effective, and it's not overly surprising that we failed with rebounding, considering two of our best rebounders didn't play. Like, Hart and Mitch are our guys who provide that, right? And we didn't get the same performance from OG on the boards that we did the other night, and that kind of saved us. And the other thing is silly fouls, right? That we sent them to the line 40 times. And they made 32 of those shots. And so I think they were probably +10, +12 in points at the charity stripe. And you can't defend those shots, right? They get to shoot those without anybody in front of them. So, if you want to blame that on, uneven officiating or whatever, I'm not going to do that. But I think we need to do a better job of not fouling and not putting teams on the line. And, they shot 80% on 40 free throws. That ups your offensive efficiency quite a bit. I mean, if you think about it, you look at they had their formula was threefold last night. It was Champagny going ballistic, looking like Steph Curry from three, or Klay Thompson 11 for 17 is ridiculous. I mean, I know he's a good three-point shooter, but that is an outlier performance if ever there was one. Second, Wembanyama, you can't stop him. Like, I don't care who you are. Like, if he's got it going and he's locked in and he's focused, he's one of one. That's like trying to stop the Joker or trying to stop any of these other superstars, Jalen Brunson, for that matter. When he has it going, he's tough. And, he was getting to the charity stripe as well. And then the free throws, those were the three big areas that hurt us. And so my question is, do those three things, does all that add up to a flawed defense, or is it just a bad night? And I don't know the answer to that yet. I do know that, let me say, I do think it's more than just a bad night, because I think we've tended to see these things lately. And this was the first time that it kind of burned us. But so I'm definitely concerned. But I think some of this stuff is correctable, and then some of it is statistical variance.
Fair. Listen, I get what you're saying in the sense that, Champagny is not on the game report, right? I mean, watch out for their shooters. Fox, Champagny, Barnes. You want to watch out for them. That's on the scouting report, I'm sure. The guards like to get into the lane. They're going to spray. You got to be cognizant. However, once it's unfolding in live time, in real time, like, you gotta make the adjustment. I hear what you're saying. In the macro, listen, if they're gonna beat us by 2 points because Champagny, becomes Steph Curry, fine. Before the game, you're saying this, and we're able to stop Castle, and we're able to limit this guy and limit their best guy. And if those other guys beat us, we'll live with it. Once it's happening in real time, though, I do think you need to make some adjustments. And I do wonder what was said in that timeout. I do wonder if it wasn't just, guys should know this. Like, you should know that this guy is hot, and so you should locate him in transition. Or was it, timeout, I need you to locate him in transition? In transition, the first thing we need to do is locate Champagny. Like, sometimes you do need to point these things out. And maybe Mike Brown did, and they just didn't execute, because he was pretty hot in the press conference. I mean, as hot as you'll see Mike Brown be in a press conference, in terms of, verbalizing his disappointment. When you're playing good teams, Geoff, it's about the margins. When you're playing good, like Luke Cornett, he had 2 offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter and 2 assists. Those 2 assists probably came off of those 2, offensive rebounds. And I know we're killing Cat for that, and we should, but I do want to balance it out. There have been times in fourth quarters of games where Cat would come up with big plays for us. That offensive rebound the other game off of a Brunson miss, which was huge for us. So I do want to even it out here. But last night was just not Cat's best night. Down the stretch of the game. Obviously, he's not a great defensive player, though the stats don't agree with that when it comes to rim protection and rim deterrence. Even the eye test, I feel like his rotations, are getting better. But last night was like a relapse of some sorts, and we just needed him to be stronger, particularly stronger on the boards. He had 7 rebounds total, 6 of them defensively. I'm pretty sure and it was a concerted effort, to limit him, but he has to be better. He has to be better, particularly down the stretch in crunch time. You cannot give up offensive rebounds. Not just Cat, the entire team. They had in the fourth quarter, and I'll throw it back to you, Geoff. Let me just see if I have that. Okay. In the fourth quarter, they had 3 offensive rebounds. We had 2, but I'm sure if we watched the tape, their 3 offensive rebounds were significant and led to some.
Well, even our offensive process at one point, we were up 8, I think, mid fourth quarter, and we had 2 dreadful offensive possessions in a row that, where if you get good shots there and you have a chance to push the lead back to double digits, but instead we fumbled and bumbled and let them hang around. And then as the game got closer and closer, we just didn't have any answers to get stops. And I think we can survive this during the regular season, but during the playoffs, teams are going to exploit it, right? And so that's something that we have to address. And the scary part, I think, for me, is I'm not sure that the answers lie on the roster right now. And so do you have to part ways with some of these young kids, or maybe another rotation piece that you like, to get someone else in who can play the 3 spot, 2-3 spot, and do a good job on the point of attack and bolster our rebounds? Do we need another 4? Or are we just happy with the job that the young guys are doing, and say, hey, when Mitch and Hart are back, that this problem goes away? I'm not sure that that's true, because I've kind of seen it for a while this year, but that's something that we're going to have to monitor. And the trade deadline is like a month away, so we've really got to take these opportunities and look at the data and look at what these lineups look like. But we've got to get stops, and we've got to be able to rebound the ball, regardless of who's on the floor. And just a terrible rebounding night in general from all of our guys. I mean, we shot the ball well from 3. It's not like we moved the ball well. Our assist numbers were better than theirs. I mean, so as you said, there were a lot of positives on that side of the floor, but it's tough to win a game when you give up 136 points or 134 points, whatever it was.
And listen, over the past 5-6 games, the Knicks have been giving up around 120, or more points. Another observation, I think we did get positive minutes from our young guys, but I do want to point out that rotation shrunk in the fourth quarter when shit got real, right? McCullough in the fourth quarter, 2 seconds. Porty in the fourth quarter, 12 seconds. Diawara just played 43 seconds in the second half. Kolek played 5 minutes in that fourth quarter. McBride only got 4 minutes in the fourth quarter, 26 minutes overall, but only 4 in the fourth. I don't quite understand that. Clarkson played 10 minutes in the fourth, but when it came to the young players in that fourth quarter, that rotation, for our young players, they just didn't play in the fourth quarter. And so, to your point, is that just, this is just how the game went? Or is this a prelude that in these tough games, when things get tight, I'm going to go with the veterans and these young players are not going to be getting a lot of time. And then you have to think about the playoffs, right? Because it's tight every game. You know what I mean? And I do think they'll see minutes, don't get me wrong. But Mike Brown, when things got really tight and really real, he went with the vets and he went with the players that, that had the experience. So that's just something to keep an eye on down the stretch. The Knicks are not going to be able to bring all these young players along. They're going to have to pick,
Well, and I hate to be Monday morning quarterback, but I think 4 minutes for Deuce in the fourth quarter when Hart and Robinson are out is kind of egregious. Like, that's kind of head scratching. Like he should definitely, and he's proven that he's an asset in those situations, right? Mm-hmm. That's when he tends to make most of his shots. He's still our best point of attack defender. The only one really who can keep their guy in front of them on a consistent basis. So I'm really, really surprised. And maybe it's just because they're still ramping him back up from injury or whatever. But in the absence of those two guys, I for sure want to see McBride playing in those, heavy minutes in the fourth quarter. But again, hindsight is 2020. He's pushed a lot of buttons this year that everyone was surprised about, and it's worked. And I think this was kind of the first night where his mad scientist routine kind of fell flat on its face a little bit in the second half. And so,
well, how are we judging it? Because you could judge it by the results. It was a good decision if it worked, and was a bad decision if it didn't work. Or you can judge it on the process. Like given how the game was going, the decision, was consistent. It just didn't work. And I think a lot of times that's what's lost. Like if it's working, even if it's a poor decision, like why are you keeping so-and-so in with 5 fouls? It doesn't seem like a great decision, but it worked. Oh my God, this was just
what a gutsy call by the coach.
Right? Like I go and spend my rent money and on the slot machine and I win 3 months rent, you know what I mean? It still was a poor decision, even though it worked out, right? So,
yes.
It's kind of like, how are we judging it on the results or the process? I would have liked to have seen, sometimes you got to optimize the defensive lineups, sometimes you have to do that. But that being said, OG and Bridges, they were in the game in that fourth quarter, right? These are our best defensive players. OG played 10 minutes in that fourth quarter, minus 12 in the fourth, for those who keep track of that. Bridges played the entire fourth quarter, minus 11 in the fourth, for those who, everybody was minus. Brunson was -7. Cat was -12. Clarkson, who played 11 of the 12 minutes, -11. But he shot 60% from the field and 50% for three. But my point is, who are you taking out in that fourth quarter? Maybe you take out Clarkson, who's not a defensive player. Maybe you give Deuce. I would have given Deuce more minutes, defensively. Do you take out? You're not taking out Towns. You're not taking out OG. You're not taking out Bridges. You're not taking out Brunson. Yeah.
It's really Deuce or Clarkson. Who do you prefer? And in that situation, I personally prefer Deuce right now, but I admit to a personal bias in that given those two choices. So yeah. And Clarkson's been really good for us. Let's not.
And he was really good last night. 20 points, 8 of 17, 4 of 6. From
three.
From three, he was +5. McBride was -1, but McBride was good last night too on his 20 26 minutes, right? 21 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, went to the line 3 times, made all 3 of them, 4 of 9 from 3 and 7 of 12 from the field. So he was, forget the -1. He was really good as well. And he made big shots. And that's McBride. Big shots, timely, timely shots. To me, I feel like this was a defensive loss, and particularly a Champagne not being able to contain him.
It's odd that OG struggled so much. That I don't.
3 for 10 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. He did have 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, turned the ball over twice, just 9 points. He's had a few offensive stinkers over the past 5.
But I'm really talking about defensive impact. I consider everything that Anunoby gives us on offense gravy. Like I don't. Wow. Yeah, I don't expect, like, I think he's going to have some great games and he's going to have some, it's not the shooting that or the scoring that, if he does that, I think that's awesome. But I don't think that that's necessarily essential to the Knicks having a successful game. I mean, and Bridges is kind of the same way. I think they can take their turns and have their moments, but I don't. I was much more disappointed with their inability to, like, usually OG comes in and he makes that defensive impact and he's getting steals and he's getting stops and he's locking people up, and where was that last night? Like, we weren't locking anybody up in the fourth quarter. So that was more my disappointment from OG. He's going to have some moments where he's, not great on offense, because I think that's kind of the player that he is. But, and I know we've spoken at length that he has taken a leap, and I agree that he's better than he has been in past seasons, but I'm not sure that that's, carrying an offense or leading an offense or even being third option consistently on offense. I'm not sure that that's absolutely his role. So to me, I would have liked to have seen more from our wing stop last night. We didn't really stop anyone.
Geoff, we need offense from these guys. We just need offense from these guys. Like, Brunson can't do it by himself. And if those guys are just going to be defensive guys and whatever they give us is gravy, and Brunson is the meat, who's the potato? Like Towns is getting 10 shots a game. I think we need those guys to score for us. Those corner threes are a big part of how we play. And we need that from them every night. We need points from Bridges and OG. I can't. This team will not reach its ceiling if those are just defensive guys and whatever they give us offensively is gravy. This Knicks is just not going to reach their ceiling like that, because who else do we have? It's not like last year's team where, we made sure, well, this didn't happen all the time, but for the most part, Towns was like number 2 in the pecking order. For the most part, he would get his shots. Brunson would get his shots. Everybody else would kind of fill in, but those 2 guys would get the shots. This year after Brunson, it's kind of like, between OG, Cat, Towns, 1 or 2 of them are going to come through. But we need it because of how we play, right? We need them to score, Geoff. I'm sorry. We need them to score. I mean, listen, he may not be 20 every night, but we need those guys to score. Like, he can't have 9 points.
But again, we had 100. We scored 130 something last night. That should be enough to get the job done, right?
It should be enough. But are you counting on Clarkson to get 20 a night? I mean, he got 20 for us. That's great. McBride got 21 from us. That's great. But for the most part, you're expecting OG and Bridges, to get that. Towns had.
We need to be featuring Towns more, is I think part of it. Also, like, let's get Towns shot attempts up, and I think that helps us as well. And I'm not saying he needs to be a complete zero on offense, but I'm just saying that I like, if he has his 25-point game, like that's awesome, but I'm not expecting him to be like an elite scorer. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not expecting that either, but you got to have at least 7. The OG and Bridges like 17 points a game. 17 points a game. He was 0 of 5 from the 3-point line. And listen, I'm not going to kill him. It happens. Like you have a bad shooting night. You have a bad shooting night. He was 0 of 5 from the 3-point line. Didn't hit not one. But Bridges took 7. Bridges hit through. Bridges only had 9 shots. I don't know. Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the chat whether you feel that for our defensive wings, not that, to be fair to Jeff's point, not that they should be a 0, but that, their points will wax and wane, and that's okay as long as they're a defensive juggernaut. Or do you feel that we need them to be a defensive juggernaut and score like 17? Score like 17 points a game. Like, that's where I'm at. Hit your shots, All right, let's get to the chat. Let me see. I don't think
we got a super chat. We just
yes,
got
I'm
one,
definitely going to get to the super chat. Oh, I wanted to piggyback off your point about the free throw discrepancy. The Knicks took 52 threes. I don't have the chart. I don't have the chart. I think they had 42 points in the paint. I'm not sure how many shots they took to get those, 42 points, because obviously they didn't shoot 100%, right? So they were in the paint, but 54% of their shots last night were from 3. So the team that plays in the paint a little more, I think for them, they took like 57% of their shots were from 2. They could have been long 2s. I don't know, were from 2. But usually the team that plays in the paint and gets in the paint are going to get more calls than the team who's out on the perimeter. 50, they shoot like 40 a game. They shot 52 last night. I mean, that could account for the free throw disparity.
Absolutely. That's a great point. I didn't think about that, but that's excellent.
Yeah, I mean, all right. Let's get to the super chats and the chat. Bob Solo, I appreciate you rocking with us. Thank you for the generous super chat. McCullough and McBride defense was on point. The young guys are stepping up. Our vets need to be consistent. Rebounds missing Hart and Mitch. Absolutely. The repeating of the same curl play was why he made 11 3-points. Go. I guess that's Knicks go, right? Go New York, go. Yeah. And maybe, maybe you wanted to use McCullough a little bit more in the fourth quarter. These are just tough decisions, for a coach who, when things get tight, he might have went to his Linus blanket, right? And wanted to go with experience, but that's a good point. Okay. The champagne was certainly popped last night for New Year's.
He kills us all the time, though. Guys from Brooklyn, he sees the Knicks and he wants to show. I mean, his brother does that too. In Washington, I think, right? When the Champagne see that orange and blue, they're gonna go off. They really relish playing New York. This isn't the first time Champagne's had a good game against the Knicks.
Yeah. Cat can't get out hustled in the clutch for offensive rebounds. Just can't happen. Yeah, that's a fact. Wonder Woman, appreciate you. Sherwin, appreciate you. Coach, appreciate you. Reese Anderson. Hope I got that right. We blew that game big time. And Wiz, I think we got exposed. Wow. How, Wiz? Let me know in the chat how you think we got exposed. All right. David G, I appreciate you. Nick Nation, I appreciate you as well. Wiz sending his condolences, as well as Wonder Woman.
Thanks, guys. And David Smith got a super chat just
Okay.
now. Did you see it?
Okay. Let me get to that. Salute to David Smith. Happy New Year to you. Appreciate the generous super chat. Cat touches, field goal attempts, and minutes all near career lows. Very alarming. Cat is being badly misused in Mike Brown's system. Do you think that's hyperbole, Geoff, or do you somewhat agree?
I somewhat agree. I kind of think that we do need to feature Towns more. He's the best shooting big man of all time, and we relegate him to 10 or 12 shots. That doesn't make sense to me. Overall, the offense is clicking and cooking. I would love to see him in more of a Domantas Sabonis on the Kings role, where he's catching the ball at the nail and able to make decisions and kind of, run more of the offense and have the ball in his hands. I think that we just need him to shoot more. We got to find ways to get him more opportunities, whether that's in the pick and roll or running more plays for him or whatever the case may be. If you're only utilizing him for 10 or 12 shots a game, you're not doing yourself any favors. I mean, the guy makes 50, 40, 80. Like, get him the ball, get him shots. It's going to, it's kind of like with Brunson. I never complain when he has 24 shots because he's one of our most efficient shooters. Well, our second most efficient shooter is, if you're going by career statistics, it's got to be Cat, and Cat may actually be a little better than Brunson. So, I don't know what the numbers say, but I know they're pretty close, but they're similar in terms of their efficiency. And so to me, I want to get him the ball more. I want to see both him and Brunson with about 20 shots per game. And then if you have a game where OG is going off and he gets, 25 or whatever, I'm good with that. Or Bridges, but Bridges is not going to command the ball. And for a lot of shots. And I don't know that OG really does either. And Towns, I think, needs to be more assertive and more aggressive too. So I think it's a combination of, the schemes could be better, but I also think that Cat can be better. I think he can be more aggressive. He can be smarter about how he plays, cut down on the offensive fouls. That hurts him too, because if you have to sit for 4 minutes because you pick up 3 fouls in 8 minutes, then you're not going to be able to get as many touches. So, I kind of feel like maybe we need to use him with the second unit more and just let him cook, right? And just say, okay, these are your minutes. You're going to get to dominate the ball, and then and go from there. So, I don't know. I kind of agree with David Smith on that one.
Yeah, I just want to follow up with some comments on that before we get to our next super chat. Bob Solo, Cat should run the offense in the second unit, as you just said, Geoff. East Blue Drew, Cat the only person who offensively disappears. Wow. Okay. Ally Wise, Cat attempts and minutes down because his efficiency is down, not shooting like a best big man shooter this season. But it could be that is his efficiency down because maybe he doesn't know where he's getting his shots. He doesn't know when he's getting his shots. I don't know. There's games in which he has been featured or when he has been aggressive, like the Minnesota game where, maybe he had a point to prove. The game, and that was the same game Brunson was out as well. There's been games when Cat has been Cat, and we just don't see it enough. I'm not sure what that's about, but this is the same conversation we had last year, right? Is it Brunson's fault for not getting on the ball? Is it Cat for not being assertive? Is it the coaching staff, for not featuring him? Yeah.
Chicken and the egg argument.
Yeah. Paris Duggar, no Mitch was all of our weaknesses. D in rebounds. Yeah. I can't.
Hart too. Hart gets those rebounds also. Like, don't minimize that. Like, we kind of gloss over that, but Josh Hart is a 35-minute a game guy. So you can even make the argument that lack of Hart's presence is bigger than the lack of Mitch's because he's on the court twice as much. So, and he's he's the best rebounder for his size in the game. I mean, there's not anyone close from the guard position that does what Josh Hart does. I mean, even though you can kind of call him a forward at times, but I just think that that those two guys missing, but people got to step up, right? We've been a next man up team all year long, and the next man up tripped up last night. So
yeah. Jamrock, no, that's not the one. He says JB can't be shot hunting like it's been. Sorry, we can get to the finals, but we won't win anything when the top scorer on the team is 6'2", shooting guard and JB. I totally disagree. He's the best player on the team. You know, the other night he had 10 assists. The stats say he's not dominating the ball at least as much as he was dominating it last year. Can he bring his shot totals down from 24 to 20? I mean, okay. But look at the best player on any team. They take the most shots. On any team. Now, are there games when his process can be better in terms of reading the game better? Absolutely. But even with a better process, he's not taking 15 shots a game, right? And as efficient as he is, you want your most efficient players taking the most shots. I'm not giving up a Brunson shot for who? I mean, unless they're wide open. Nah. Brunson is good, and I don't think his height has anything to do with it. I believe we can get to the finals with Brunson as our leading scorer and leading shot maker, and that's just my opinion. Geoff, any thoughts?
No, I think you're right about that. Like, Brunson is our number one option. Like, that's okay. Like, I don't have any problem with that. He's a clutch shooter. He's really good. You know, he has kind of had a pattern of being pretty inefficient through the first three quarters and then ramping it up in the fourth quarter. We kind of have seen that. I'm not sure that's kind of new, but at least to me, maybe he did that in years past. It doesn't seem like it to me, but I've had several times where I felt like he was having a bad game, and then in the fourth quarter, he just flips the switch and he's Captain Clutch, and here you go. But that's sometimes what stars do, right? And sometimes it takes you a while to get moving and get clicking, and sometimes you're on it right away, and you just can't miss. So, putting the ball in Brunson's hands is not a mistake. Like, he's one of the top 5 players in the NBA for a reason, and teams have to game plan for him, and they can't stop him anyway. So I don't have any problem with Brunson getting the shots that he's getting. I would just like to see Towns get more shots also, and I think that's doable.
Yeah, agreed. Paris Duggan, Mike Brown panicked when he benched Mo Diawara for the game. Kolek also turned down too many open chances, I guess he's trying to say. Diawara played 43 minutes in the second half. Maybe he did. I think it's something to keep an eye on. In these tight games, how much of the kids are going to play. Young players are going to play. Just something to keep our eye on. I know Kolek did play. He actually went to Kolek in the cup game against San Antonio in the fourth quarter. But Kolek, you can argue, was a little ahead of McCullough and Diawara and these other, and the other young players on the team. And Hukporti had a good game.
Yes, very much so.
Last night in just 14 minutes, 6 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. I love that. I love when players respond from his, quadruple donut game or whatever you want to call it.
I like that, the quadruple donut.
I was trying to find something more than quadruple, but
the quintuple donut.
Right. The night before, and he just came back, and I think he had the highest plus minus on the team. Might have had the highest. No, Yabusele was plus 15 in like his 9 minutes, but I thought Hukporti was good. It'll just be interesting to see how this plays out over the course of the season and into the playoffs, when every game, the margins are slim. David Smith, how can you say Brunson is better than Towns? If Towns got 23, he would. So it's not about points. It's not about whether he's more efficient. If you want to say he's more efficient than Brunson, absolutely. But being a better player is more than efficiency. Being a better player is IQ. Being a better player is showing up in the big moments. Being a better player has to do with a lot of different things more than efficiency, right? So if you're just talking about efficiency and you want to say Towns is better, okay, fine. I mean, Brunson is pretty efficient himself. Towns is not having an efficient season this year. I'm not gonna argue that. But that Towns is a better player than Brunson, I don't even think that. It's not even close, in my opinion. If you want to say he's more talented than Brunson, okay. But even talent doesn't make you the best players. How many, even skill set doesn't make you, like how many players had a better skill set than Larry Bird? Sorry, Geoff, don't throw up. You know, there were players out there that had a better skill set than Larry Bird. You could say they were more talented. They could do more things than like, were they better than Larry Bird? Like when you do it matters. It matters. How often you do it matters. You know, so come on, David Smith. I appreciate you. You always rocking with us. You know, if he's more efficient. If he got the same shots, maybe he would score more points. It still doesn't make you a better player.
But that's not always a good argument anyway, because you can't just say that, oh, you just up the volume and you're going to keep the same efficiency and percentages either. You know, I think that's a mistake we make with young people, young players especially. They're like, look at his 36 minutes. If this guy was getting a full rotation spot, he would be awesome. And then, you know, and then the more minutes he gets, then you're like, you're not, you know, they're not able to handle the same volume of shots. And you know, Cat's not going to take 23 to 27 shots per game. And it's not because the offense is bad. That's just Cat. I don't think that he wants to take 27 shots per game. I just don't think he does. Like maybe that would be true, but I just don't. I haven't seen in his career that's kind of who he wants to be. I think he, you know, he's okay in the 15, 16 shot a game range. So I don't really see him just call for the ball or call his own number like a whole bunch. Like, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not seeing it, but I just don't think that's his personality as a player.
Right. East Blue Drew, it's not a mistake, but JP is not perfect. Absolutely not. The best shot is not always him.
True.
Okay. Knicks Nation, who will be joining us tonight, I believe, on the weekly show. 55 points from the bench. And to take an L that way hurts. 55 points for that. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Defensively, we must be better with communication and a better philosophy. A philosophy in terms of scheme or rotations to help the defense. Okay. Anna Girl, despite my Cat critiques, I would run offense through Cat just to get him more touches. Okay. Do you see anything else, Geoff, that you want to highlight?
No, I think that you pretty much hit on them.
Yeah, shout out to everybody rocking with us this New Year's day. We'll be on tonight, 9 p.m. for the weekly show. We'll talk about this game some more. We'll talk about the Knicks defense. Wiz should be joining us tonight to talk about his fandom, and anybody else who's interested, just let us know. We'll give you space as well. J-Rax, Deuce is a real one. Absolutely. Really stepping up his play this year, really being more consistent game to game with his shooting, which is what I wanted to see. And seeing that, and he's come back. These 2 games he's been back, and he has not missed, a beat.
He puts in the work. That's what I love about Deuce. You know, he's putting in the work.
And he's confident, and he's always been.
Even when he shouldn't have been.
Right. Even when he shouldn't have been, he was definitely really at Anagrel 1 is Wiz. Really? Wiz, confirm that. Anagrel 1, confirm that, please. Nick Nation, see you all tonight at 9 p.m. But in the meantime, hit that like button now.
Definitely. I think you can't put it any better than that. Good job, Knicks Nation.
Yeah.
And a girl said, huh?
Yeah, okay. So, all right. Okay. All right. Okay. So that's not the case.
Hey, can I just say something quick? Let's not go with the we don't know basketball.
Exactly.
Like everybody in here knows basketball. Y'all watch the games. That's our audience. We don't get the casual fans. Everybody here, we have differing opinions. We look at the game in different ways, and those are all valid commentaries and observations, but let's not denigrate the other person and say that their ball knowledge is lacking. I think one of the things that I love about this community is this everybody has their takes that are strong, but they're good takes, and so let's just be kind to one another and respectful of each other's person, and we can disagree without being disagreeable. We're very blessed. We have people who watch ball and know the game very well. We just see the game through different lenses, and sometimes those lenses clash, and that's okay. That's what makes for good discussion, and that's what makes for interesting content. We need that. Like if we were just robots who parroted the same thing every time, nobody would watch.
Geoff,
but
your internet is
we're not that. We have a lot of different opinions, and people think that we utilize cat, and some people think that cat's a bum, and there's everywhere in between, and that's okay. Like you're entitled to those opinions, and we want to parse all that out, but let's please just respectfully of each person.
Yeah. I don't want to call the person out in the chat, but he was just saying that he wasn't trying to be disrespectful, but to imply a bench player like Kolek is better than Brunson and calling Brunson a shooting guard is just disrespectful. Yeah, some of these takes can be a little off the wall, but you can still respectfully, disagree. I do hear this a lot in the Knicks content community. Like if somebody doesn't agree with your take, they don't know what they're talking about. Or if they do agree with your take, oh, that was such an intelligent take. Why? Because it was intelligent in its own right, or because you agree with it. You know what I mean?
What I want to hear.
Right, because I want to hear that. Oh, that was a great take. Come on the show. Like be a fan. We all have different, and I gotta say, I really love this community. We had to clean some stuff up, right, Geoff? In the beginning, it was just crazy in terms of the disrespect of each other and of the panel members. But over time, we've just learned to respect each other and respect each other's takes, even if we, disagree with them. So yeah, I love you guys. I'm looking forward to another year, 2026. We're going to do some things to get you guys more involved. Like Wiz will be on tonight. He says he needs some specs about tonight. And basically, Wiz, just talk about your fandom. How did you become a Knick fan? Anything you want to share about your fandom? And then if you want, you can throw in what's going on with the team, right now. We'll talk about our 2026 Knicks resolutions. Like, what do we want to see, from the team? We'll talk more about that tonight. Obviously, we hope it's a championship, but just along the way. So we'll have that discussion tonight. But yeah, Wiz, I'm looking forward to hearing. And it doesn't have to be, if it's 3 minutes, it's 3 minutes. If it's 10 minutes, it's 10 minutes. It's not going to be 30 minutes, Wiz, all right? So don't be getting all Hollywood up here. Don't be getting all Hollywood tonight with the makeup and all of that, all right? Steph, you should start doing a did you hit the thumbs survey yet? Is that like the Ajay when he would say, did you hit the like button? Is that what he's referring to?
I think so.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. He said, I only see 2 thumbs up and 3 people watching now, right? We're like, you know, we got 65, you know, we got 65
on New Year's Day,
in the
that's
chat,
awesome.
and we only got 40. Yeah, we're gonna go back to that. I appreciate you. I won't talk about Deuce or else it'll be an hour. Yeah, he's definitely yeah, I'm loving Deuce now. If you guys haven't noticed, it takes me a while to warm. Like everybody's going crazy over these young kids. See me in year 3. See me in year 3. I've just over 4 decades of watching young players look good, fizz out, look good. Like I just can't muster up that type of energy. Mike Brown also failed to get the defense corrected faster against the pivotal Fox pick and roll 4th quarter. Okay. Mike Brown is a savant when we win. When we lose, you know, I think it's somewhere in the middle, right, Geoff? That even when we win, it's not perfect. It just works out. And when we lose, it's not perfect. It just doesn't work. I don't know. Yes, East Blue Drew. I know. Listen, year 3. How long did it take Deuce? Even earlier this season, I was like, nah, I'm not feeling Deuce and Shamit, both of them. 65% from 3 one game, 23% the next game. You know, and kudos to Deuce. He would always respond with a good game the next game. But let's just give me like 3 consistent 3-pointers a game. I don't need the 70%. And that's been Deuce of you know, of late. Yeah. Anyway, any last words, Geoff?
Just thank you, Queen. It's very therapeutic. These are great sessions. I love to, even win or lose. I'm really enjoying this concept of this show, and it's a lot of fun. And I hope the audience is enjoying it as much as I enjoy talking about it and doing them. And so we've got another show tonight, though. Y'all make sure you tune in, and then we'll be back on Saturday morning as well, probably a similar time, right, Queen?
Yeah. Yeah. Similar time. Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, I'll be back Sunday morning. And if Knick Nation can still make it, I believe he said he would make time to be on the show. So Sunday seems to be the guest spot. I had Tony Crow last Sunday. Looks like I'll have Knicks Nation this Sunday. Anybody interested in doing post games with me on Sunday? We can have more than one person also. Let me know. Like I said, this is a collective. If you're somebody that's been in the community for a while and we kind of know you, you're welcome to to come on the show. Geoff, again, my deepest condolences, my deepest sympathies to you and your family for losing your mom unexpectedly. May God comfort you and your fam through the process of the funeral and burial, and whatever you need. Just let me know. Be sure to give us the details, so we can support.
Will do
as well. Darlene Bryant said, "I'll see y'all tonight."
Let's go.
In the house.
We love Darlene. She always rocking with us, though.
Yeah, always rocking with us. All right. Until next time, family. Peace.
Peace.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?